Welcome back to Winners and Losers Transfer Edition. Joining me today, I've got Zachary Jalab. Jalab, we played golf yesterday. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you, mate. It's a long game golf. We were out there in the sun for a while. You did very, very well, mate, considering you hadn't played in 6 months. Me less so, but enough about our golfing game and more about the football, Joe.
Yes.
Because the talking point this week is none other than Raphinha. It does feel like this story and saga has just gone on and on, but it does look like we may be getting towards the end of it, as Raphinha is on the verge of a 72 million euro move to Barcelona after Leeds accepted Barca's offer that matched Chelsea's. Importantly for Leeds as well, all of this cash is to be paid up front, which was the same as the London club's offer as well, meaning there will be no instalments or add-ons, obviously making it a lot more attractive. The Brazilian winger's first choice destination was Catalonia, and he's refused to finalise a move to Chelsea until Barcelona made up their mind and decision on whether to get him in or not. Now, Raphinha did not fly with Leeds on their pre-season tour, instead training in England and waiting for a move to be completed so he can fly out to Spain. And overall, I guess from a Chelsea fan point of view, it's not amazing. It was someone that I think it had been rumoured that Thomas Tuchel was really, really keen on. And look, Chelsea were definitely looking for someone to play on that right wing, seeing as they were targeting either Dembele or Raphinha. I think it's a little bit confusing that they are looking like they're going to be signing Raphinha and Dembele, two players that will want to be playing in the first team week in, week out, and especially when fit in Dembele, will be wanting to play on that right wing. And so the thing with Raphinha is he can't really fit in another position. You can't really go and put him on the left wing. You can't play him through a middle or anything like that. And so that I do have a few questions about. But overall, if I'm being dead honest, I'm just kind of happy the saga's over. It was getting Chelsea, I think, was being taken for a bit of a ride in the end. It was just getting a bit silly that this Raphinha was just not willing to commit. And I understand, obviously, it's his dream move for someone that's Brazilian. Barcelona and Real Madrid, those are the dream clubs. You watch your icons play for them, Ronaldinho. It makes sense. But it was this must have been the 5th, 6th week since the rumour first started. And I'm kind of just happy it's done now, mate, to be quite honest. What about your opinion?
Yeah, look, I don't necessarily have as much of an issue with Barcelona signing him from a playing perspective on the same day as Ousmane Dembele signing that new contract. My bigger issue with the move comes on a financial perspective. Because I think questions have to be asked is how they're able to do this. They're in 1.3 billion euros worth of debt, and they are minus 144 million euros against La Liga's salary cap. It's pretty ridiculous. As well, let's not forget they've also announced Kessier last week. They've announced Christensen last week. And they are just about able to meet these financial criteria because of the levers, the economic levers I'm sure you guys have heard plenty about at home. Of course, one of these was 25% of their La Liga TV rights for 25 years. They sold that off in order to get money up front. The other was selling off the sort of merchandising arm of Barcelona. Up to 49.9% of that went out the window in order to get money in up front. So basically, they are mortgaging the future of the club against big cash payments to have right now. But like I said, they are minus 144 million pounds in the hole against La Liga's salary cap, and they currently have a wage of 560 million euros on the books. So they need to generate 704 million euros against these economic levers in order to be able to spend cash this summer freely. However, if you do a bit of reading into this, they aren't having to do all of this right now. They're trying to get it done as quickly as possible. But basically, if they can prove they are going to become break even, they can start spending on a one-to-one basis. That means if they save €1, they can sell €1 in the eyes of La Liga, whereas previously, if they saved €1, they could only spend 25 cents. So they are in a much better economic position by pulling these levers and activating these levers, at least in the short term. What it means for the long term of Barcelona, still yet to be seen. But in my eyes, morally, it still feels a little bit weird. It's treading quite a thin line, isn't it? If they go and spend 72 million euros on Raphinha, 50 million euros on Robert Lewandowski, but they still owe Frenkie de Jong 17 mil, PK 50 mil. All of these players have agreed to defer wages. Is it not better to, pay off those debts you owe to the players as well, first and foremost? I don't know. It all seems a little bit dodgy, but they are going to get this deal done. Raphinha is going to arrive at the club. It feels increasingly likely that Lewandowski is going to arrive at the club. Kessie has already come. Christensen's already come. So they are spending quite a lot of money when they're already in a bit of a dodgy financial position. It's kind of lending and loaning on the back of loans and lends. It's all a bit morally sus, in my opinion anyway. But nevertheless, Raphinha is going to become a Barcelona player. Let us know what you think about that in the comments below. And do you think they need Lewandowski as well? I'm not too sure.
We mentioned one of his possible destinations being Chelsea, but let's actually talk about a new Chelsea player. It's our winner, Joe, and who is it?
Of course, it's Raheem Sterling. We mentioned it throughout last week that this was looking increasingly likely. It is now a done deal. Raheem Sterling moving to Chelsea for £47.5 million. That fee has been agreed. He's also signed a contract until 2027 for upwards of £300,000 a week, making him the most highly paid player at the club. Of course, on Sunday Vibes, we had a little bit of a debate and discussion as to whether or not he's worth that much money. I think this is a really, really good signing. He's underwent a medical yesterday in London. He's expected to fly out to LA and link up with the rest of the Chelsea squad this week. Apparently, Thomas Tuchel is his #1 target. Todd Boehly has got the deal done, according to the Telegraph. Jalab, come on then. You're a Chelsea fan. Let's say this is signed, sealed, delivered. Raheem Sterling on a plate. Happy?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's a deal which I just never thought would have been possible. Like, I didn't think Chelsea could go and buy Raheem Sterling. I think previously over the years we've always mentioned that Sterling looks like he may be running down his deal. What could be his possible next location? I think we always kind of felt like, it'll be a team away from the Premier League. There's no way he'll join a rival. But for £47.5 million, I think the fee's pretty good. I've always said as long as it was under 50 million quid, I'd be pretty happy. Obviously with add-ons it does just about creep over. He's deserving of the big wage. Like that's the level of player you're bringing in. You're bringing a player who's at his prime. You're keeping him for 5 years with that option of the extra year as well. And overall, for a little while now, I've wanted Chelsea to buy from the Premier League, to kind of buy someone that we know has already been successful here, because every time we've recently anyway bought from outside of the league, whether it's the Bundesliga, whether it's Serie A, it's not quite gone to plan. And that's not through the want of trying. I think they've been a little bit unfortunate, Chelsea, with some of the players that they have bought. But I think when you're getting a Premier League player, especially to the calibre of Raheem Sterling, you know what you're getting. This is a guy who has scored 120 goals for Man City in 292 games under Pep Guardiola. He's got 85 assists. He's got 4 Premier Leagues, 4 League Cups, 1 FA Cup, 2 Community Shields. He's made the Champions League final. And so I think you know exactly what you're getting with this kind of player. And Chelsea for a long time have needed someone who is a goal scorer. And I think that is what Raheem Sterling's going to do. I don't think he's going to go and score 25 goals in the Premier League. I don't know whether any Chelsea player will do that at the moment, but I think he's someone that can also contribute of, say, 15. If he can be hitting 15 in the Prem, that would be unbelievable, not to mention maybe also knocking a few assists up as well. And so overall, I think it might be, even though I didn't know whether the move would possibly happen, it might be the perfect move for both club and player. He's only 27, he's got so much time left to play. The only worry I might have is he's now played football for a long time. He came through when he was 17. This is his 10th, maybe 11th season as a professional, playing a lot of games as well for both clubs. Liverpool when he was there, and obviously Man City has been there for the majority, because obviously they get very far in cup competitions and obviously battling to a high intensity for the league. So maybe he has played a lot of games for someone that is 27, but overall, I'm quite happy with this move, and I think realistically it'll be successful. Whether he's playing on the left or the right is another question. We'll have to see within pre-season when the season starts. But I think he's perfect because he can play along that front line, and overall I think Chelsea get a perfect deal.
I love it, mate. I love it. Yeah, you mentioned it there. 292 games he's played under Pep. That's the most of any player. That's an awful lot of football. But, 4 Premier Leagues, 4 League Cups, an FA Cup, 2 Community Shields, plenty of goals. I think the third most goals in Pep's time at the club too. He's going to score goals. And I agree with you, 15 would be a perfectly valid total. All right, let's do our losers then. Another week of L's for Manchester United, Zach.
Indeed, because it looks like Frenkie de Jong's move to Manchester United is looking increasingly unlikely, according, anyway, to reports in Spain. Now, de Jong is set to return to Barcelona training today, and it has been reported by those in Spain that he wishes to stay at the club despite the club's current negotiations or continuing negotiations with Manchester United, and that if anything does come to fruition, he will reject the move. This comes as well a week after Laporta publicly claimed that he wants to keep de Jong. However, also added that de Jong would have to accept a pay cut if he wanted to stay at the club. However, the British press aren't as convinced by Laporta's words. James Ducker in The Telegraph claims that United are positive about the signing and hope to complete it once a big issue has been resolved. Now, that big issue that is holding up the deal is the fact that Barcelona owe de Jong £17 million in deferred wages and a further £3.5 million in bonuses as well. I mean, we've already spoken about the Barca financial issue, so you can see where it's playing up here as well. Fabrizio Romano, who's actually extremely good friends with de Jong's agent, mentioned that he will not take a pay cut this season. So something's got to give here. Something's got to give. Joe, what are your thoughts on the de Jong situation?
I mean, what a mess this is from pretty much every perspective, right? Every perspective. Barcelona, it's a mess because they owe him money. Frenkie, it's a mess because he is kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. United, it's a mess because he doesn't seem to want to leave Barcelona at the moment. It's just awful. I mean, if United now miss out on de Jong, having spent 3 months chasing him as the principal target of the summer, it's an absolute disaster. It is a disaster, let's have it right, because they have put all of their eggs in his basket, really. We have heard the news over the last sort of 24 hours, though, in L'Equipe, that Manchester United have begun negotiations with Leandro Paredes, which is obviously not necessarily a like-for-like with Frenkie de Jong, but another midfield option. PSG is said to want 35 million euros. Paredes perfectly happy to leave the club. Galtier and Luis Campos have drawn up that list of players that they don't see having a future in Paris, and apparently Paredes is on that. Manchester United are going to be needing a deep-lying midfielder. Paredes is a defensive midfielder, fits the mould at 28 years old, and for 35 million euros, a lot of people at home will probably be saying, you know what, it's decent value. It's not too bad money. £25 million in a market like this, you might well take it. However, when you kind of think of what Eric wants from his midfielder and what he wants Frenkie de Jong to do and how he's really targeted Frenkie de Jong as his #1 target, it feels like any player that's not de Jong from there, in Eric's eyes, will be a step down, which is a problem given that we're already seeing Cristiano Ronaldo refusing to go on pre-season tour, a move for Lisandro Martinez looking more and more unlikely as Ajax asked for up to 60 million euros for him. That price just keeps on rising and rising. A move for Anthony looking extremely unlikely given that, again, Ajax are looking for 80 million euros. And United have only so far got Tyrell Malacia through the door. It has been a horrible week for Manchester United, and if they miss out on Frenkie de Jong, it becomes an absolutely horrible summer. So that's it for today's episode of Winners and Losers Transfer Special. Jalab, anything you want to push to?
Yeah, why not check out Sunday Vibes from yesterday, and also the Raheem Sterling and how he will fit into Chelsea's system. Football Daily Explained that went out on Saturday as well.
Yeah, absolutely. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit subscribe. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you later. Bye.